this white circle showed, and it just started opening, very bright white. And it felt like I was pushing through something.
All right, veterans, today you're going to hear the story of a former Special Forces operator who's connected to Jake Barber and his Newsnation special, right? The whistleblower that came out about the egg-shaped craft he had seen and the NHI encounters and his Skywatcher program, summoning orbs, all of that. There was a gentleman called Fred Baker, who, again, is a veteran and former Special Forces who also had an encounter. And what makes this encounter so interesting is that it happened right after he met with Dr. Stephen Greer. But first, I'm going to let Ross Coulthard explain exactly who Fred Baker is and his credentials so you can get an idea of who we're talking about here.
And one of the three men who strongly backed the credibility of our primary interviewee, Jake Barber, in the story was Fred Baker. And Fred Baker is a highly experienced former Tier 1 operator who showed great courage to step up to back the credibility of our primary interviewee, Jake Barber. Fred is a legend in the US Air Force combat control and special operations community. He served with distinction in the US Air Force's 24th Special Tactics Squadron. That's the 24th STS, which is like the US Air Force Special Forces. It's one of the elite Tier 1 units in the US Air Force Special Operations. He retired as a Master Sergeant with 20 years in combat control. Combat controllers are special tactics operators who specialise in air-ground communication, including air traffic control, fire support, and command control and communications, including in covert operations. It's a measure of how desperate some in the intelligence community are that in the wake of our UAP crash retrieval investigation, they actually tried to denigrate a veteran of the calibre of Fred Baker. This is a man who served his country with distinction. He has multiple Bronze Stars. In fact, he's earned the Bronze Star with valour. He has 4 of them, 4 oak leaf clusters. That's a big deal. He's earned multiple other commendations and awards, including a Navy Presidential Unit citation with 1 oak leaf cluster.
So clearly this guy is an absolute, badass, right? Let's be real here. He even looks like it. Wait till you see this guy. He is absolutely, just looks like typical dude you would not want to run into in an alley. That is for sure. He looks straight out of John Wick, I'm telling you. And what he's about to describe in this encounter is very compelling, for sure, considering his background, right? And very interesting. Now, what he's going to describe may sound like a dream of some sorts, and he's even asked by Ross Coulthard that, but he claims it's not at all. And this encounter, honestly, if something like this happened to me, would be terrifying, right? I don't know how you wouldn't be terrified by encountering a non-human intelligence. But again, what makes this encounter to me so interesting more than anything is that it happened right after he met with Dr. Stephen Greer, right? On his way home, gets home. You'll hear him explain, but just that fact, right, that it happened after Dr. Stephen Greer, because that's also what Jake Barber said, right? After he met Stephen Greer, he also had an encounter, right? And this kind of becoming something. I don't know what that means, right? What I hope I never meet Dr. Stephen Greer at this point now, right? I don't want to have any sort of terrifying encounter. So I don't know, right? And listen to the end of the clip, because Fred Baker here also talks about Skywatcher, the program that him and Jake Watcher are going to be doing, and how effective he thinks that program is going to be, right? And again, it's this program to summon UFOs and potentially retrieve them, right? And it's all summoning telepathically with the mind, right? With special people with psionic abilities, who can do this, right? And basically they are mirroring a secret government program, but just doing it privately and publicly, right? In the sense privately away from the government, but publicly to reveal their findings, right? So could they one day actually bring forth a craft to reveal to the public that can be studied and looked at? And I don't know, that would be a game changer for sure, because that has never happened. There have been little pieces that come out, but the idea that a whole craft could be brought out to the public, I mean, that's what we've always said, right? Bring out the craft. That would be insane. So anyway, let's hear from Fred and him explaining his encounter. Remember, if you've also had an encounter, just be wary of what you're about to hear. You know, just want to prepare you for it. That's all. All right, here we go.
So you were also part of an operation where, as Jake has described it, the question was, has a whistleblower that's got these tough books gone to the disclosure advocate on UAPs, Dr. Stephen Greer? What was your role in that operation?
Just merely transferring information to and from.
Right, so you met Dr. Greer and conveyed information to him?
I did, yes.
Right. And can you tell me what happened on your return from that exchange of information?
Yeah, so it was interesting. So this was a simple drop off, you know, here you go, nice to meet you, be on our way. But he actually took an interest in me. I don't know if it was me specifically, but potentially Jake and our group, and he just wanted to pry a little bit. But he asked me some questions, and we had a little bit of a conversation, and went our separate ways. And I drove straight home. And they were about a 6-hour drive or so. And when I got home, everyone's in bed, and obviously I'm tired, but I was not exhausted. I had enough energy left to get something to eat real quick, get a shower, get to bed. And as soon as I laid down, and closed my eyes, I was in something. It was very interesting because I was still very aware of my surroundings. I could hear the fan going. My wife's sound machine was going. I knew that I was in this moment. I was not asleep off in dreamland. And I was immediately, as soon as I closed my eyes, I was in this thing. And it very much looked, it was black and white. It looked like if you were running 100 miles an hour through the woods, just black and white branches going all over the place. And I could feel that I was there, and I was very excited, but somewhat confused. And then all of a sudden, this white circle showed, and it just started opening, very bright white. And it felt like I was pushing through something. And I was getting really excited. And then when I came through, I saw this little boy that was in like 1920s, 1930s garb, the coat, all wool coat with the vest and tie. He had the wool shorts. He had the ankle high boots on. He had that floppy cap on. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is really awesome. And he's looking right at me. And I actually focus on his face, and he's terrified.
Of you?
Which terrified me. And I could see the background. It's a dirt road with the street corner. It looked like a T intersection.
So this isn't a dream?
No, I was there.
It's real?
I was absolutely terrified.
Have you ever heard of the term remote viewing?
I have, yes.
Have you remote viewed?
Not that I know of. I'd like to have an answer on that thing, but no, I haven't officially tried, no.
So it raises the question, what was it about your meeting with Dr. Stephen Greer that prompted that experience? Was there a correlation, a causation, do you think?
I didn't correlate any of that. I just had this thing happen to me. And then the next morning I'm trying to reason with it, and I just, brought it up to Jake, texted him about it, and said, would these two come together at some point? Like, they're two separate incidences, but I feel like there's something going on there.
Now, I understand you're part of the Skywatcher team that's going to try to provide the service that's being done secretly in the military in private enterprise.
Correct, yeah.
Are you excited about that?
Always. It's always exciting. It's always something different, but yes.
From what you've seen, will it work?
Seems so. We had some pretty good luck, if you will, so far. But interesting enough, it seems that a lot of these things that people are talking about is true.
Okay, that straight up reminded me of The Shining, right? If that guy's terrified, imagine how I would be. I mean, I'm scared of big words, y'all. So, yes, this is absolutely a terrifying experience. Seeing a little boy, and that boy's terrified, so then you're terrified. I mean, the whole experience sounds terrifying, right? Something like that. And honestly, his story sounds like he time traveled, right? That's kind of, it's almost like he plopped into another time, which just adds a whole nother element to this that is, I just don't even know what to say to these type of stories, right? To be honest with you, I just listen and take it in, and a little mesmerized and kind of compelled, and I don't know, you know what I mean? It's kind of just information. I take it in, and that's what happened. That's what he said happened. That's what he thinks happened to him, right? When he tells a story, I do get the feeling like he feels like this experience happened, right? And I don't know. I don't know what to think, right? If anyone else has had a similar sort of experience, maybe like a time jump of some sort, encounter, right? Please, I would love to hear that as well. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, it does sound like that to some extent. But who knows? I don't know. Again, all of it just sounds terrifying, to be honest with you. So I don't know what to do. All right, y'all. We'll see you guys on the next video. There's a link below in the description if you want to hear this Fred Baker's full story on Newsnation. You can find the full story. He talks about a lot more things, and definitely worth checking out. So, all right, y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.